Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the ringmaster has said, my name is Kathryn Woodward. For as long as I can remember, I've been a planner. At 13, I just started high school and I decided that it was time to get my life sorted. To figure out where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. I agree that it was a slightly absurd notion for a 13-year-old. But I didn't take the decision lightly, and after much contemplation, I decided that I wanted to become a doctor. For the next few years, I studied hard as I worked towards my goal. It was this dream of studying medicine that prompted me to move schools in grade 10. And at the end of my first semester, I was the top of many of my classes and had made a lovely group of friends. However, as Robert Burns so insightfully penned more than 200 years ago, the best laid schemes of mice and men often go awry. And it was at this point that my plans did exactly that. In June 2012, my world was tipped upside down. At only 15 years old, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, a blood cancer affecting the immune system. In total, I underwent 18 months of chemotherapy, radiation, and a bone marrow transplant. My cancer diagnosis forced my attention to shift from being a teenager and getting into medicine to my health. I was very quickly lost in a sea of medical jargon and unfamiliar surroundings. I couldn't focus on anything except when my next chemo appointment was. It was terrifying. For so long, my life had been reasonably foreseeable and had followed according to the choices that I had made. Yet there I was in the middle of something completely uncontrollable. Whilst undergoing treatment, I was unable to attend school and social gatherings due to my depressed immune system. Moreover, the grueling side effects of treatment meant it was difficult for me to go to school, and I couldn't do much more than read or watch movies. I found it difficult to even imagine returning to school and going back to normal life. It was at this point that I learnt I was eligible for a wish from Make-A-Wish. Like everyone here, I'd heard of Make-A-Wish before, but had always assumed that wishes were only for terminally ill children, so I hadn't given it much of a thought. After hearing that I was eligible for a wish, I immediately started brainstorming ideas. As I began to consider possible wishes, I inadvertently found myself thinking about what I wanted my future to look like. For so long, my life had been organised by doctors, and the perpetual planner in me had seemingly thrown in the towel. However, by trying to find a wish, I was also able to once again start considering where I wanted my life to lead. And just like that, Make-A-Wish helped me realise all of the possibilities that my future still held. Back then, I struggled to think of a wish, because all I really wished for was to graduate, finish treatment, and get into university. Yet by making me think about my goals, Make-A-Wish made a huge impact on the way I approached my treatment. I wrote a list of goals, and instead of waiting until treatment finished, I slowly began completing them. My list wasn't necessarily difficult or particularly extensive, but it consisted of things that I wanted to do, and unlike most of the things in my life at that point, weren't cancer related at all. One of the first things on my list was to learn the cello. It was an instrument that I'd always wanted to play, but had never really got around to. So I borrowed a cello, and on the weeks when I wasn't having chemo, I began lessons. Another goal on my list was riding a horse. Honestly, this was a nice goal on paper, but after riding a horse for an hour and smelling like a farm for the rest of the afternoon, I was ready to tick that off my list and never relive the experience. My list also consisted of some larger goals, like graduating, and although I wasn't able to tick that one off very easily, I did start going to school when I was well enough and completed as much as I could at home. Ultimately, by prompting me to start setting achievable goals, Make-A-Wish instilled in me a sense of hope for the future at a time when it was very difficult to see beyond hospital visits and medications. Eventually, I finished treatment and was finally able to choose a wish. After all of my time in hospital, I was even more passionate about pursuing a medical career and helping people. With this in mind, I decided on a family holiday to Alice Springs in Uluru to visit the Royal Flying Doctors Service. My wish was granted in July, and it was truly an amazing and unforgettable experience. For a week, my family and I were treated like VIPs as I ticked the red centre off my list. This year, I was also able to tick one of the final goals on my original wish list, when I gained entry into Griffith's undergraduate medical program. But never fear, my list has continued to expand, and I hope that I'll never complete it. Because who wants to say they have no wishes left? I hope that you can now appreciate the profound impact that Make-A-Wish is making in the lives of children and adolescents throughout Australia, who may need a little help to see the wonderful adventures that their futures hold. I would also encourage you all to think about the goals that you may have, and remember, it's never too late to start your own wish list. Thank you.